Hey, all you Mellow Brick Roadies, welcome to Path 70 on the Mellow Brick Road. Van here, just to let you know a few things before we get started down this path. Firstly, this is going to be an audio-only episode, only because what I think happened was the combined attractiveness of all four of us in the room in the video just was too much for the internet to handle, and trust me, I got on the phone with Mr. YouTube, I called Mrs. Spotify, and they would not budge. They said, next time we do this, the four of us, it needs to be. They sent me a link for a debeautifying filter that I think would make it it's like that debeautifying filter just barely puts us underneath that line of too attractive to be on the internet. So we were just there, but we were a little bit over it. So next time it should be better. Don't worry about that. But we are joined today by two amazing guests. Trace and I were so nervous when they accepted and they wanted to talk to us. So we're joined by the Hannibal Rivertown Review Podcast, starring Megan Rapp and Harold Smith. They were so smart, so funny. These two are legends in Hannibal, legends of probably Northeast Missouri, or at least the top half, if not the whole state. Because wow, they know everything there is to know about Hannibal. They know everyone that lives in that town or knows anything about it. So it was just so fun and informative getting to talk to them today. You guys are gonna love it. I know I had my kind of goofier questions about Hannibal. Trey's had his more serious, true crime questions. So we do cover a whole spectrum of information. So it's very edutainment today. So get your thinking caps on and get ready. And get your Googling out too, because there's more in Hannibal than just Mark Twain. Trust me. And if anyone brings up Val Kilmer, you're done. You're unfollowed. You're blocked. You can't listen to the show anymore. I'll find you. I'll cut off all of your podcast access. So don't even try it. Don't try me. Look at the William Shatner Mark Twain, though. That one has a funny mustache. So that one's okay. You can look at that one. Everyone, I hope you all enjoy the episode. I'm going to go ahead and hit the play button on the theme song so you guys enjoy it. Have fun. We'll see you at the end. The episodes. I was going backwards. I was doing the most recent, and I was going backwards like that. I enjoy it because there's definitely things about Hannibal that I didn't know, which is weird just because we've always lived so close to Hannibal. But yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to get in touch with you guys, because you guys are the biggest Hannibal fanatics I know. Well, no, we're meeting for the first time, but after listening to the you have a whole podcast about the Rivertown, so you guys are so hooked on Hannibal, I guess. You love it. And I love it too. It's one of my favorite places to visit. I love going there every time, any chance I get.
Yeah, of course, Megan and I, neither one of us are. We taught the big time TV people the proper term for people who are from Hannibal, right?
Mm.
Yeah,
Yes,
Hannibalians. Yes.
Oh,
But neither one of
I don't
us
know if
are.
I've heard that. Never heard that before. Interesting. I like that.
Neither had Jan Carl.
Have you guys, Megan? You were living in Hannibal. I know that. Harold, did you ever live in Hannibal at all?
Never lived in Hannibal. I grew up in Pike County. Went to school in Kinderhook. Was born just down the river at Louisiana, Missouri.
Oh
So,
yeah.
Nice.
that was the town. The next big town over. The kids from Kinderhook and Hull would go and drive up and down Broadway on Saturday night and that sort of thing. Because it's
Nice.
not far. It's like 10 miles
Yeah.
from Hannibal to Hull. So no, it was the next. Every for everybody that lives in a little town, there's nothing going on in their town, and the next big town, if we just go there,
Yep. Yep.
and for people like me, it was a town like Hannibal.
Yeah, and I think in high school for me that was Macon. That was Macon,
Yeah.
Missouri for me. It
Macon
was
for
just
us.
it had a Walmart, it had a Taco Bell, it had everything I wanted
Yeah.
that we just didn't have.
So you said you were living in Louisiana?
I was born in Louisiana.
Born in Louisiana.
I,
I was gonna say Louisiana is a fun town to drive through too. I love
Mhm.
Highway 79 between the two, and I just
oh yeah,
it sounds kind of morbid. The cemetery there is beautiful. When you get up on top of the hill and the river, it just
Majestic.
yeah, I
I-
love Louisiana.
Yeah.
I think it's a really cool town to drive around through
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's see. Oh, I guess we can get this started. I'm excited. I've been thinking about this all week. Not nervous at all. Totally professional. I'm a professional podcaster. We've been doing this for a year now, so I feel like I'm good to go. But the first thing I actually wanted to ask was just for Megan. Sorry, Harold, but Megan and I. This is kind of one of the first things I noticed. I knew about you.
Unless you have some input on it, I don't know.
I don't know what you're bringing
Harold
up.
will
Oh,
always
I thought
have
okay,
input.
okay.
You don't even know what I'm talking about
Okay,
right now. Yeah,
okay.
we don't discuss things outside the office.
Oh, okay. I thought I knew what we were talking about.
No, I just I knew that you're a big what is that term, Anglophile with like British TV and movies. But that's like one of the first things we talked about when we were emailing.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you first, what do you think is your favorite British TV show, movie that is like criminally underrated in the US? Like it's really good. Maybe not your favorite of all time, but something that like Americans don't even know that they would love it so much.
Well, the obvious to me would be Doctor Who, but that's gotten a lot more
Yeah.
like playtime recently. I'm a really big David Tennant fan,
Oh,
and
there we go.
so
Yep.
if people haven't seen, is it Broadchurch that's on Netflix or
Yeah,
Amazon Prime?
yeah. Broadchurch.
That
Um,
was
that's an amazing
really,
show. David Tennant's
really
amazing.
good. So Americans we're so used to having like a murder wrapped up in the 42 minutes minus
Yeah.
the commercial, 60 minutes minus commercials. And I think that anybody that enjoys Law and Order, any of those types of shows would really enjoy Broadchurch. But
Oh,
it
yeah.
takes an entire season to solve one murder because it's a
Yeah.
little bit more realistic than 42 minutes.
Oh, of course. I feel like the biggest thing with Americans with British TV is that it's not called TV shows or seasons; it's series. Like, and they're always like short. They're
Yes.
not as long, and they're not as I don't know. It's just I think the first time I noticed it was with Sherlock, how it's like 4 episodes a series, hour and a half
Hmm.
episodes, and I was like, whoa, I'm not. That's the whole. That'll take me way too long. But I think my favorite
Yep.
that I've recently rediscovered is Aardman animations, like the Wallace and Gromit, and like all of those claymations from the old school stuff. Because I remember seeing that stuff when I was really young. I've always loved claymation, and I've just been the last few days watching Wallace and Gromit just on repeat in my house, and it's been a blast. It's been so much fun. Just all the movies, all the shows,
That's
so much fun.
that is amazing. I'll tell you, I love British comedy. I'm a huge a huge British comedy nerd. Um, and they have they're not really game shows. They are, but they aren't.
Hmm.
All these game shows in Great Britain, like 8 out of 10 Cats and Question Time, and it's just like
Yeah.
a panel of comedians.
Yes.
There's one called Taskmaster with Greg Davies
I
is the
feel like I've
host.
heard of it. I feel like I've heard of it.
It's hilarious. That will be my motivation to like get on the treadmill. Like I won't let myself
Oh,
watch
there
it
you
on
go.
YouTube unless I'm
Yeah.
actually walking. That one is very underrated and should be watched by everyone
Yes.
without small
Okay.
children around because there's a lot of 4 words.
Right. I'll make sure to write
It's
that one down.
hilarious.
Yep.
That's the one thing about the British shows. You hear a lot more of the S bombs, F bombs, that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is.
But
Oh man,
all
so
all
good.
the murder mysteries, Midsummer Murders, and Father
Detective stuff.
Brown, and
Oh yeah.
as far as comedy, it's an acquired taste. Once you get an idea where they're coming from, this is
Yeah.
Brown's Boys. That's
Oh,
uh,
okay. That's an interesting one.
one of my
Yeah.
favorites. Well, Yeah, they don't take themselves too seriously, which I like. It's something they shoot on a sound stage, and it's obvious. They talk to the fourth wall, and it's one of those deals where they just keep rolling, and whenever there's a blooper, they'll keep it in, and they'll
Nice.
just kind of work around it, that sort of thing. The Canadian TV shows, I've
Oh
gotten
yeah,
into a little bit
very
too.
good.
When it comes to comedy, we're talking Corner Gas.
Oh yeah.
When we're talking, and this is something that you may have heard us talk about on one of our episodes when it comes to the murder mysteries in Canada, Murdoch mysteries,
Oh
um,
yeah.
which of
Yep.
course, as Megan and I talked about in an episode, contain one of the worst portrayals of Mark Twain we have ever seen,
Ooh.
ever in the history of Mark Twain, people portraying Mark Twain, ever.
Yeah,
Feel that.
that a
William
travesty.
Shatner as Mark Twain.
I can't even. I don't even. I wish you wouldn't have even said it in my brain. Now it's in my brain forever, and I can't not think of it. I'm gonna stick
And
with
you're
Val
gonna look it
Kilmer.
up on YouTube.
I'm going
Oh,
to for
oh,
sure.
See,
I
now
like
I'm
Val.
Val,
looking it
Val
up.
Did you say
Kilmer.
Val
I
Kilmer?
did say Val Kilmer. I prefer
Uh-huh.
Val Kilmer over Will Shatner. I'd say. I think though.
Oh,
I
don't.
haven't. I don't know. I
Now
need to
you've
start doing my
now you've
research on
gotten
that.
Megan started. Now you now
Oh, see,
tell
that's what
him,
I. One thing
Megan.
I did
Tell him,
know.
Megan.
Yeah,
You
I know
tell
you.
him,
Yeah.
girl.
No, well, I was gonna say you haven't obviously gotten to that episode yet. Yes, Val Kilmer is dead to me.
I saw
Yeah.
that you guys. I saw he was in an episode, and I haven't watched it or listened to it yet. But I saw that he was in it, and you know what? I feel like I should have listened to it before I brought his name into the conversation.
I'm con-
this is the end of the podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. It's just gonna be
Megan, hang
Harold
up.
now for the rest of the show.
Look at that time. If she doesn't tell it, I will.
No,
Oh
well,
yeah,
to make a long story short, if you
yeah,
want the long version, you
sure.
can go over to the Rivertown Review podcast. To make a very long story short, I was a huge Val Kilmer fan when I was a
Right.
teenager. That was like in the time when he was Batman and
Oh yeah.
the Saint. I had that VHS tape. Yes, I know I'm dating myself. Um, and so he was supposed to come to Hannibal as Mark Twain, and they did
Yeah.
a fundraiser,
I do
and it was
remember this
$100
happening.
ticket. All this, la 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 la. He was in Missouri. He was in
Yep.
Fulton,
Yeah.
actually. He
hmm
didn't make it because he, and I quote, wasn't feeling it.
Ooh.
Now,
That's like the one place you
you
gotta be.
Yeah, I know, right? That's what I was just thinking. Oh.
especially if you're an espoused method actor, like,
Yeah.
come on, you're gonna be Mark Twain, and you're not gonna go to his boyhood home, you
He was so into Mark
jerk.
Twain. Like
I
remember
never heard
I
that
saw the
before.
documentary that he made with his son, which was a good
Yes,
documentary, and he was talking. I didn't know he did the Mark Twain thing, and I was like, I need to look this up. And
yeah.
now, wow, I didn't know he was. So he never actually did that in Hannibal. He like went on tour and
No,
did that. Hmm.
he was going. It was weird. I don't know. I saw some interviews with him, and he was basically like, "Well, I'm more Mark Twain than Mark Twain was Mark Twain because it's Val Kilmer, freaking Val Kilmer."
Ooh, that's not
Um,
good. That's not a good thing. That's like when John Lennon said they were bigger than Jesus.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh, that's gonna rub people the wrong way for sure, man. You're more Mark
yeah,
Twain
don't.
than Mark Twain.
Yeah,
Oh my
it was some kind
gosh.
of weird, yeah, because he's one of those method actors and
Oh yeah,
blah
he
la la
was.
la la, and he was going
Yeah,
to do a big Twain thing, and I think that's probably before because I think he has cancer, had cancer
like throat
with the
cancer or
throat,
something.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he can't. Oh,
So
it's very sad that he can't
yeah,
speak anymore. But I wish I could have seen him be Mark Twain because I mean and of course the documentary is gonna be pro Val Kilmer everything, but he seems so passionate, and it kind of the way they portray it in the documentary, it kind of makes sense that he would because he was an actor his whole life, and he loved speaking and basically he loved being the center of attention, and he saw this. He loved Mark Twain, but for some reason he didn't love all of Mark Twain, I guess, because he didn't love his hometown, which was like Mark Twain really loved where he came from. He made like a bunch of
everything
books.
his writings were
Yeah,
based
that's
on his
he
hometown.
literally wrote like all of his books were about like Hannibal in that area. So
five of them had Hannibal figured in it somehow.
yeah,
I mean,
so
so
man, that's crazy. Man, well, okay,
anyway,
yeah. Getting back to let's talk about some good
water
stuff in
under the
Hannibal.
Mississippi River Bridge. We'll go there.
Yes, there we go. Let's bring it back to Hannibal. More loving Hannibal. Let's put it in good light because I love Hannibal. You love Hannibal. We all love Hannibal. Our whole family, as we always take people there. And the last episode I think I saw with you or listened to with you guys was I can't remember who your guest was, but you were all talking about your favorite food and like where to eat in Hannibal. And I
Mackenzie,
was
yes.
very curious to know, like, if you guys had your breakfast, lunch, and dinner like in Hannibal, where would you choose for those, or maybe your favorite for one of each, or I'm not sure. What's your favorite place to eat in Hannibal? I guess in simple terms.
For breakfast, yeah, we did wind up breaking it down in categories. For me, breakfast is the Becky Thatcher Diner. That's my breakfast.
That's what I wanted you to hear,
Mhm.
or wanted me.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lunch and dinner, that's yeah, and we broke this down on that episode, depending on kind of what you're in the mood for and
Yeah.
any given time, because we've got American and we've got Mexican and we've got Indian and we've got barbecue and although we lost a very good barbecue place here a few months back when Wayne Barbecue closed.
Yeah.
That
But there's
was
another good barbecue place now on Mark Twain Avenue. Have you had that yet, Harold?
oh, I have not. No.
I haven't had that either.
Can't think of the
Some
the name of it.
Fantastic ribs.
Oh,
Ooh,
all
we'll
right
take
then.
Dub there.
Yeah.
Big W, she like that.
Yep.
Nice,
But you've
okay.
Got a
but
fancy
you
Cadillac in the front. You know it's legit if there's a fancy
Oh,
like
yeah.
golden purple
Mhm.
Cadillac in
one
the
of the
front.
one of
You
those
know it.
party barge Cadillacs. Yes.
Oh,
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah,
Very
definitely.
nice.
But yeah, Fiddlesticks gets a lot of good reviews.
Oh, man, yeah.
Downtown Finn's Food and Spirits. The pub, the Irish Wolfhound.
Wolfhound
Oh,
Pub.
Wolfhound. Yep.
Wolfhound
Oh,
Pub
that's so good.
is
Yeah.
good.
So good.
Yeah.
That they have this curry dipping sauce for their chips. It's
Oh,
so good.
to die for. It's so great.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
good. So much good food in Hannibal.
Labina definitely for
Oh,
dinner if
yeah.
you want a nice dinner out. Labina, you can't go wrong with
Can't
that.
go wrong there. No, I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
What do you
Never
guys think
had
about
anything
the
else before.
like the Mark Twain Cafe? Do you guys like that place at all, or
The
too
dinette,
touristy, or
that is no, it's not well, since they converted one of their dining rooms into a gift shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that
We
last
were
time. Last time
surprised.
we were there, I didn't
We
know
were
that was a
surprised
thing.
by that.
We walked in with it. We were headed to Ohio, and we were like, oh, we're definitely stopping in Hannibal on the way to eat. And then we got in there, and because one of our people we were with had never eaten there, and we walk in, and I look over, and I'm like, has that gift shop always been like that? Is a full gift shop over there. I
No,
don't think I've ever seen that
no.
there.
Yeah,
I must have just.
that was one of the things I think they did kind of to. It was during COVID that they put that in.
Kind of fill
Um,
up space.
yeah, I think so, something like
Yeah.
that.
As soon as
But
I
no,
mentioned-
if you love Maid Rights and root beer, that's your place.
Onion rings.
Mike was not.
The half foot and the foot of onion rings.
Oh yes,
with that.
absolutely. I can. Yeah, we get my wife and I get the foot, but we scale back to the half foot because it's too much. And they do a lot of things well there as far as their food goes. Fried chicken's good, tenderloins are good. They do it all well, but they're known for Maid Rights and root beer.
Oh yeah.
That is
That's
where
what
I
I always
began
recommend. Yeah.
Yep, that's where I began my career in Hannibal. I was a waitress at the Mark Twain Inn in high school.
There you go. That's how you do it. That's how you work your way up to the top.
Yeah, matter of fact,
Yes.
the first meeting that Megan and I had to discuss the possibility of a podcast was in the Mark Twain dinette. And I had Maid Rights and root beer, and she says, "Nah, I'm burnt out on that stuff. I'm gonna do something else." Yeah.
No, I've never liked Maid Rights. I've never liked them, and I've tried them every way. When you work there for 3 summers, you tried them
Yep.
every way that you can.
Just couldn't get used
tenderloin
to them,
though.
huh?
It's tenderloin. No,
Wow.
tenderloin and onion rings.
That's, I mean, you can't go.
You either love them or you hate them.
No,
Wow.
I wouldn't argue with tenderloin and onion rings at all. No.
Oh no, not at all. That's the best thing you can get, probably.
Yeah.
Most Missouri restaurants, you're guaranteed a good meal. I feel like if I ordered that.
Matter of fact, there is speaking of tenderloins, we talked about that in the episode we did. There is a Facebook group called Pursuing the Breaded Tenderloin Sandwich. And they've got people submit pictures. Hannibal's gotten in their sticks and stones. That's another place.
So
yeah.
you're just like you're
Famous
just
for
sharing your tenderloin
Mhm.
meal.
Yep.
Okay.
Sticks and stones
Yep.
is pretty
Oh
impressive.
man, that's good stuff. That was just 'cause it was
Has
busy.
anybody mentioned brick oven yet? What?
No,
any
not
thoughts
yet.
on brick
no,
oven?
no, I don't actually. You know what? I can't believe I didn't mention brick
Personal
oven.
favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love brick
Wow.
So
oven.
when you're talking pizza, yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't even
Pizza, and you notice we haven't mentioned any franchises at all yet. We
Not
have
at all.
all the basic franchises, but yeah, when it comes to pizza and it's not a franchise, yeah, brick oven.
When I recommend food or places, I stay as far away from franchises as I can. I say go find the local places, find a small spot. If I'm on vacation, I look for like locals waiting in line for a breakfast place, and I go, that's where the good food is. I don't go for like Denny's or IHOP. I mean, I'll get IHOP and Denny's if it's there, but I'm not my first choice.
Not first choice.
Yeah, everything else has to be busy before I go there.
You can't order a moons over my hammy with a straight face. Like, you know that like a local place is not going to do that to you. They're not going to do that to you. They want you
No.
back as a customer. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
don't be
That
silly.
and that and what is it, Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity? Yeah.
It's like they don't even like their customers. It's like, what can we make them say? Like, what are we going to
Right.
make them say? The dumbest things. So that's what we're going to name our menu.
And
Oh
put it
my
out there where
gosh.
the truckers have got to come in, and you've got the truckers that are all yeah.
Yeah, they got to do that.
Gracious.
Oh
Of
my
course.
gosh. That is amazing. So you guys how long have you had the Rivertown Review podcast? How long have you guys been doing that for, do you think?
We started that. Reason I know this is because it's starting to pop up on my memories from 5 years ago. 2018 was
That's amazing.
the first episode of the podcast. Megan and I had been doing a radio show for actually about 5 years prior to that. We started it was the end. It was 10 years 10 years ago, my dear.
How the time flies.
I was 12.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah. And if you were 12, I was 25. Yeah. Or something like that. My math skills aren't great.
Ish. Ish.
Close enough. It's close enough.
But the Rivertown Review began as a radio show on KHMO.
Awesome.
And actually, I had done it with the lady who was Megan's boss at the time, and then I went to pursue fame and fortune in Branson at the end of 2012, and that lasted about a year. It was my choice. It wasn't home. It was great. I loved it. I loved Branson, but it wasn't home. And so I had a chance to come back. And by then, the Rivertown Review was still around, but Megan had taken over as far as the representing the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and we clicked as a team on the air.
Nice.
We would get into conversations on the air. It was supposed to be a 10-minute show, but I don't think it was ever 10 minutes long. We'd go 15. We could only go about 20. Otherwise we wouldn't hit the news at the top of the hour. But then we get into these conversations afterwards, and we would start talking about things, and then to kind of end the conversation so we could go get back to our jobs, we go, we'll save it for the podcast, just jokingly.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
And then after a while we went, why not a podcast?
Yeah,
so we started looking into podcasting 101 and that kind of thing. Megan found an article and sent it to me, and it went through the whole thing there. And of course, as I say, my background was in radio, so none of that end of it was particularly scary. And one of the things it talked about in there was, make sure you'll be able to find enough to talk about. And of course, we both go, yeah, that wasn't going to be
a problem.
Yeah, easy peasy.
That's actually why I had to take over. Well, it's why I got the job of taking over the Rivertown Review, is because after Harold left, the other person was not as easy to talk to, was not difficult to talk to, but just wasn't as good as filling up space.
She was a big Val Kilmer fan, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. But the gentleman was not as good at filling up blank space, and so my boss was like, "Hey, look, you can talk to a brick wall. You go do this." And so,
oh, thank you.
Because not in so many words, but basically, and I've never had a problem carrying on a mainly one-sided conversation. I didn't fill up any airtime.
Yeah.
So, and then when Harold came back, then I didn't have to do that anymore. We actually had two-way conversations, and boom, the podcast was born.
It's definitely easier to bounce off ideas with someone else. That's for sure.
It was the difference between being an interviewer or somebody who carries on a conversation. That was the bottom line of it. I don't, because sometimes when people haven't been behind a microphone before, it'll freak them out. We're going to have an interview. No, we're gonna bat the breeze about what you know about. Like you know this. You're
Oh yeah.
you're in that business.
Yeah, we're professionals. We know what's
Yeah,
going
we
on
know.
here. We
Yeah,
know what's going.
absolutely.
Of course we
Yeah,
know, Harold. Come on now.
and
We're veteran
and
radio
You've
guys
got
over here.
you've got an awesome room. You've got
Oh,
the
thank you.
I mean, like
You
you're
can't see it, but the
styling.
ceiling has clouds on it.
Yeah,
I
you're
put
seeing
clouds in the ceiling, and we actually just put turf on the floor this week.
Yeah.
I have turf in here now, so I have no more shoes in the studio. I like it because I'm inside so often editing and recording that I need to feel like I'm outside at least because I need to be outside at least a little bit during the day. So this is kind of like a nice little. I'm waiting for the day where I look at it and go, this isn't the same as outside, and then I just move everything outside. This is like the step before.
That sounds like a plan. Yes.
Yeah.
But in the early days of the podcast, of course, Megan and I were together every week, so we tried to put out a new episode every week, and was able to do that for a good while. And then after, well, let's see, it was about the end of 2019, life got in the way, started to get in the way. The radio show came to an end, and then, of course, in March of 2020, everything changed. And we did, I think, one more episode with Megan at home on the phone, and me having everybody else cleared out of the radio station. I was basically doing it myself,
Yeah.
and that was the last one we did. Took a 2.5 year hiatus after that. Keep it, never closing any doors to anything, because that's a great thing about the podcasts. I mean, it's always out there, no matter
that's
how
a nice
long
thing
you
about
get
it.
or everything else. There's nothing, as long as you keep paying for the hosting site.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
As long as you keep
can
that
keep
bill
getting it on
paid,
there. Yeah.
it's always out there.
Yeah.
And you
Well, and our podcast too, we tried to keep the podcast pretty evergreen. So we never really went over something that, an upcoming event per se. Like maybe we would talk about annual events, but
Yeah.
that's something that, if you listen to it in 2019 or you listen to it in 2027, more than likely, good Lord willing, the creek don't rise, we're still gonna have Folklife Festival. So, and it will still always be on the third weekend of October. So we really worked hard to make sure, and still do make sure that the podcast is evergreen. So, I mean, one of my favorite was when we interviewed Donna Loy Brown, who is the caretaker of Mount Olivet Cemetery. You're talking about pretty cemeteries. I'm not creeped out at all by cemeteries. I'm a history major. And it's just gorgeous. It's gorgeous there, and Twain's family is buried there. But like that interview was hilarious and informative, and it's not like the dead people are going anywhere, so you could listen to that anytime.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can't get any more evergreen than that.
Good
That's
idea,
right. Yeah. The Clemens family, and how Don Farrow was late for his own funeral, and all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is one thing I do with when sort of planning episodes, I go back and forth of like, oh, we need to outline and get all these articles and all this new current news and talk about this, and then I go, let's just hang out. Why can't we just like make some jokes and just like do funny voices and for like an hour and just see what happens? Because we can do that for an hour. We can talk about nonsense for an hour, and now we have other friends that come in with us too, and we can talk about all kinds of stuff. So I feel like I go back and forth because I don't, again, like you said, I don't want to date the episode too much, but sometimes I feel compelled when there's something big in the news. Like I remember like week 2 or 3 of the show, that was when like Roe v. Wade happened, or got dropped, and then I was like, I feel like everyone in the world is talking about this right now. I have to at least like maybe mention it, just so like everyone knows it's around. But again, probably don't have to because everyone knows it's already going on. So, but like I mean things like that, like certain public figures that pass away, but that's also dating the episode. So I don't know. I go back and forth because the show, I don't know, it's still sort of newish, so I tweak it as much as I can.
Yeah.
And it can evolve. It can evolve too. And like I know, like other podcasts, sometimes they'll do current event episodes, and sometimes they do evergreen episodes. And I mean, if Seinfeld, the show about nothing, worked so well, why can't a podcast?
Exactly. Yeah, and I feel like there's points where I'm like, let's have fun this episode, and then if someone has something they want to discuss, like a book they've been reading or a project or whatever, let's talk about that then. I mean, it's still the same of like we're talking about whatever we want to talk about, and this episode we want to talk about this movie or book or whatever. Just just came out that we're interested in.
Right.
So not like really current events, but just
Yeah.
I don't
When,
know.
and when it comes to going back and forth, the thing that Meg and I, it kind of turned out that way. Whether we'd bring in guests, we'd have this person come in, that person come in, and then after we do that 2 or 3 times, let's just do something ourselves. And it turned out about 50-50 as far as when it was guests and when it was us. And what, of course, and the thing that turned out to be kind of funny is that we would get together and say, okay, let's just do us. And then we'd pick a topic. Well, what we're going to talk about. And we'd both spend about 20 minutes Googling stuff and then come back in and do our half hour. And then we'd get comments from people how much of an authority we were about these topics.
Gosh.
It
and you're
was
like,
great.
I just Googled it.
Exactly.
At the time, my dentist was a fan of our podcast,
Mhm.
right? So like I'll be in the dental chair, just like and he's like, you and Harold, you guys just obviously, you just script it out and you do such a great job. I mean, everything sounds so natural, and I'm thinking we don't script out anything.
Do people think we script the show?
Lord,
Do you
no.
think? Because we
shooting from the
definitely
hip.
don't. There's definitely a lot of times where like I'll cut out 10 solid minutes of me and Trace both just like, okay, what do you have on your phone now? And we're just both just like, let's find something else to talk about. What are we talking about? And I'm like, because now at the very beginning it was like I tried to make it like we had to make sure we're perfect, and then when we record, I'm not stopping. We're gonna record all the way, so no hiccups, no lulls, just like go. And now I'm like, even if we have a guest and I stop talking and I'm taking notes, so like, are we still recording? I'm like, yeah, I'll cut this out. Don't worry about it. No big deal.
The power of editing.
No, yeah, I can cut this out.
Yeah, digital editing is a wondrous thing. Absolutely.
Yes.
That
It
was
does
always
make it
Harold's
easier.
line.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
it does
like
make
the
it
only
always
difference
Harold.
is
I
that
can cut this out.
we Google first and you Google on the fly.
Yeah, more or less.
Pretty much, yeah. Harold, so with a background in radio, how long did you work at? Do you still work in radio? I guess I should ask first.
I do not. Well, one thing I still do high school football on
Okay.
Friday nights.
Nice.
I got out of radio. I was in it for 50 years. 1972 was my first job in radio. Some things, the radio kind of left me behind. The business part of it. I mean, I go back to the days when it was, me and a couple of turntables and a stack of 45s and the microphone and rip and read off of the AP wire once an hour. That was seat of your pants, leather helmet and goggles, live all the time radio. And it evolved for better or for worse, or it wasn't that way anymore. And just because you are a radio station that serves Hannibal, the corporate powers that be, I'm not going to get too far into this because I still, they still pay me to do football, but they did make the
I can say it. The
decision.
corporate powers that be will make you do, hey, you need to write these blogs, and they need to make sure you need to make them open-ended enough so we get X number of clicks and X number of downloads. Basically, you got to make sure that you're monetizing anything you put out there. And
Content.
yeah, you're on the radio, but content, digital content, not necessarily about Hannibal, not necessarily
whatever gets the clicks.
That's
whatever
hard.
can get
That's
butts and
hard
seats.
for news guy. Yep,
I was
guy.
the news guy who got re-educated about it's better to write about haunted shopping malls and that sort of thing than about hard news. Although I showed them, I was about 50-50 when it came to hard news. Mugshots, people love mugshots on websites. That'll get clicked. But then they decided to move the Hannibal studios out of Hannibal. So Hannibal's radio station was no longer in Hannibal anymore. And it was at that point that I said, no, that's it. It's time. I'm out. And a nonprofit organization in Hannibal that I had dealt with in the past, had a lot of respect for. They took me in so that I didn't have to leave Hannibal. And that's been a year and a half ago, and that's been a journey as well. But that's another story for another time. But no, it's this. But the Hannibal community has been good to me over the years.
That's awesome.
With this past as we sit here on Sunday, yesterday, the Alzheimer's Association had their walk in Hannibal, and I've been privileged to be the MC of that opening ceremony.
Nice.
As long as they've been doing it, which that's, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years, something like that. But to have those kinds of things, Megan and I have both been received nice recognition from the Hannibal Arts Council, from the United Way, and it's just been it's been a good community. It's been good to me, and so I didn't want to leave. I wanted to continue to give good back, and part
Yeah.
of this is part of that as well, is giving good back, because as you talked about in the very beginning, Hannibal is a neat place to be from, and we want to make sure that
Yeah.
people know why. And
Yeah.
part of our purpose is, if we've got people that don't know anything about Hannibal other than what they hear from us, they go, that might be a nice place to check out.
Yeah. Honestly,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. I do
Yeah.
always push people, if they don't know anything about Hannibal. I do recommend your podcast. I've been doing it for like the last, whenever Megan and I first started emailing like a month or so ago. I will recommend. Like, you ever seen this Rivertown Review podcast? So Harold, I think you might have already answered this, but so being a radio guy, what was the draw that kind of brought you into podcasting? Was it just the need to, or the want to keep broadcasting, or just sharing Hannibal facts
Well,
and events?
Well, as far as the draw of podcasting as an art form, I guess it's I talk about getting into radio because of the seat of the pants free form style of it, and that's, I mean, a podcast can be anything you want it to be.
Yeah.
We're not bound by FCC regulations. We are not bound by the clock. If you want to do, most of ours are 20 minutes to a half hour. You guys go a little bit longer as a rule, and it's, if you want to, it's however long you want it
Right.
to be, you think the market will allow, and it's just and it's a chance to to sit down with a good friend, and with good friends within earshot, or if they're not yet, they, if we have anything to say about it, they will be.
Yeah.
And the it gets, to me, it's more like, where, the reason why I started, to just get behind a microphone and just go.
Right. That's kind of where I was too. I felt like I had this. Like, I've always loved broadcasting and radio, and I was always that kid in school that you get in my car to go somewhere, and I turn on the radio, and it's like talk radio. It's not music. I never listened to music. I was always listening to like talk radio or a podcast, and like one of my favorite podcasts, or it used to be. I haven't listened to it in a while, but it was Philosophy for Our Times, which is just it's a podcast that has two philosophers debating about like really, really complicated societal questions, and they're all like recorded from like the 80s and 90s, so they're kind of hazier on the recording, but I love listening to it. Just these two people discussing, just, I don't know, the American education system and how it ebbs and flows, and how, like, what are the problems with it, and it just, the way they talk. I don't know. I was a philosophy psychology major in college, so I'm just interested in that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So how's that
Okay,
work
well,
for you
so
as a career choice? And now you got a philosophy degree, and now you're podcasting.
Well, I have a podcast
How'd
at
that work out
27.
for you?
It's going
Support your
well.
philosophy.
hey,
Hannah.
Harold. Hey, history and museum studies major over here. Come on
That-
now.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Working in
And
healthcare, but whatever.
yeah. How is that job going? By the new job, how is that going for you,
Oh,
Megan?
it's going awesome, and I'm gonna, as you probably noticed, like, we'd be like, oh, we're gonna like go off a tangent. Did you see the Google Doodle for Mihai Csikszentmihalyi's 89th birthday?
Yes, I did see that. Yes.
And yes,
Wow.
I know how to pronounce his name because of my museum studies master's
Yes.
degree.
Hey,
Because
there
there's
you
a
go.
whole class.
Comes in handy. You're like, boom, get your diploma in your back pocket. You're like, boom, there you go. Call your professor.
'Cause
Came in handy.
Yep. Anybody else would have been like, it's Milhakohachu.
Oh, I'm
It's
terrible with names.
It's someone's important's birthday today.
Yeah.
I was like, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. That too.
And that's one thing about I like with video is I can try and say a name. Like last week I did this. I was trying to say someone's name, and some people have usernames online. So I'm like, it's Alma, and I'm like, here's how it's spelled, and then I'll just put the name on the screen. I'm like, there you go. You guys look at it.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not listening, I mean, if you're not watching, go to the YouTube. start watching it. Go to this 10-second mark. Just look at the name, and then you know what it is. Don't yell at me. But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I do love
Like I
the
said,
freedom
too.
of podcasting is very fun. At first it was kind of nerve-wracking, obviously, just not talking behind a microphone very often. But now I love it, and I try to get all my friends who are too afraid to do it. I'm like, just get in here. It's so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get really goofy just to show them that just you can have as much fun as you want. It doesn't have to be like a serious 60 minutes interview. It can be as silly as you want it to be.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
And I think the appeal for the podcast, because we were very structured with the radio show because it would be about the upcoming events for that next week, because that's what the show was about. And so we couldn't talk about all this random cool stuff we knew about Hannibal. I mean, all this just weird Hannibal history knowledge just rattling around in both of our brains. We're like, well, obviously this needs to be gifted to humanity.
We got to stop yelling at our family. Our family
Yeah.
members won't let us yell at them anymore. We have to yell at other people. That's kind of where I am with the podcast.
Yeah.
Like I had to stop alienating my family. And so I just yell at random strangers on the internet. Which has worked for me. Worked for me.
Yeah. People got tired of yelling. Yeah. Mark Twain isn't the only famous person from Hannibal. Haven't you ever heard of Jake Beckley?
Right. Exactly.
And Molly Brown and Bill Lear and the Jiminy Cricket guy.
Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah, his name.
Ukulele Ike.
Cliff Edwards.
Ukulele Ike.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wow,
Ukulele
awesome.
Ike. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And no, there will never be a house with his like little plaque of Cliff Edwards lived here, because his family lived on a houseboat on the Mississippi. How cool is that?
That's so crazy.
Even cooler than an actual house on land.
I would love a houseboat.
Right?
Yeah, that'd be so awesome.
And Hannibal's still so kooky that we have there is a house in historic district, I should say, and it says the Colonel Sherman T. Potter house, like from MASH, because he mentioned several times on MASH that he's from Hannibal.
Yep.
Yes.
Whoa,
So
I did not know that.
I actually knew that little thing. I don't know why, but I knew
didn't know that.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the podcast?
Yeah, not only famous real people, but famous fictional
Famous
people.
fake people too. Yeah. I
we
mean,
take them
Tom
all.
Sawyer.
Yeah.
Tommy and Huck.
I mean, we have the Becky Thatcher house, so of course we'll have the Colonel Sherman T. Potter house. Yeah, no, the owners there, of course, did it very tongue in cheek, but I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I think it's so fun.
We renamed an actual hill after a fictional hill.
You gotta love it.
Yeah,
I love the state. I love everything about the state. We do everything right.
Yeah,
I think.
For fun.
Speaking of famous people, how into or how much do you guys know about the Hannibal Lost Boys? Or do you guys follow that story? I'm so deep it's not even funny.
You haven't gotten back that far in the episodes yet.
Oh, there you go.
See, I need to get.
Yep. You need to listen. You need to find it.
Yeah,
for sure. Twice we visited with John Wingate, who wrote the books, wrote the original Lost Boys of Hannibal book, and probably the most unsettling. I think it'd be safe to say the most creepy, most unsettling. He did a follow-up book to the Lost Boys after he had written the first book. He was approached by psychics who were telling him, this is what happened to the boys and this is where they are buried. And that made us, we wound up going back after we had recorded the conversation and doing kind of a disclaimer at the beginning of the episode to tell people this is gonna creep you out a little bit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And even since then, we haven't had a chance to do this yet, but since then, more information. Apparently there was some kind of a deathbed conversation that John Wayne Gacy had with someone, and apparently they're saying now that it was John Wayne Gacy that got him.
You think John Wayne Gacy killed those boys?
Wait,
didn't you tell me that before?
It's out there. I'm not saying that's what happened.
Yeah,
you're way into this.
Yeah, it's out there.
I've read both the books by John Wingate, and the first one I probably read when I was a teacher, probably 5 or 6 years ago now, and it was. I mean, it's one of the most detailed, well-written, just so well.
Well, the guy's an investigative reporter by trade, so yeah. Yeah,
It's
absolutely. Very
I mean,
thorough.
he tells the entire story. It's not, who done it. It's here's everything you need to know about caving and other cases in the country and all the people involved. I mean, it's the characters involved and everything with it is just so much bigger than people realize. But
Yeah, it was like the largest. It was the largest manhunt, like up to that point. Like it,
Yeah.
I mean, it was huge. It had so many people looking for these boys.
Yeah, and still the only caving expedition that has never resulted in finding the bodies, remains, the people. It's the only one
Nothing.
they've never gotten anything out of the caves.
Man.
Every other caving expedition, if they're in the caves, has been solved. But yeah, the second book I've read where he talks to the three psychics, and it's Soul Speak or is
Soul
it
I have
Soul
to
Speak,
read
Speak?
that one. That
Yeah.
one looks right up my wheelhouse. I like that.
You would enjoy it.
I like that.
It's well written.
Creepy.
Yeah,
It's
it's
October
Well
too,
written,
so
but
it's a good time
definitely
for
a
a creepy
different
book.
style.
yeah, it
Definitely a different style.
Yeah.
it definitely turns a corner for me. I don't want to say I don't fully believe the psychics or that part of it. I'd still like to believe they're, with
Psychics have found bodies
No,
before. It's
no,
a
I'm
weird
not saying
phenomenon. It's a
that.
weird
I
thing with
just,
that stuff. I don't know how that works. It's creepy.
there's another podcast that has the same name, Hannibal Lost Boys podcast,
Mhm.
that goes into it further, and I'll put it lightly, they don't necessarily agree with John Wingate. And
Yeah.
so I just try to listen to all the information about the Hannibal Lost Boys, and I think it's an interesting addition. There's also another book or another two books by a guy named Charles Stewart. I don't recommend those.
Oh, you don't recommend those at
No,
all?
they're harder to
Good to know.
read. I don't know if he had an editor.
Oh,
I think I don't know.
I see.
The first one is
I
more
want to
just.
read those now, though.
Was he in Hannibal?
I believe he's
he
from
Hannibal?
Hannibal or in the area.
What was his
I
name?
think he drove the trolley for a while. I think I
Charles
talked
Stewart.
to him once.
Yeah, he
Charles Stewart.
the first book is more just a cut and paste of like newspaper articles. Like he just kind of grabbed whatever. There's not really rhyme or reason. There's not really chronological order. There's not it. He repeats himself a lot in this. If you read the second book, you'll think you're going crazy because it's just the same paragraph, on this page, and then you'll read it again over here, and you're like, wait, didn't I just? It's super strange, but I try to give it a shot. But yeah, the Hannibal Lost Boys thing is I don't know. I'm so into it, and most people have never even heard about it. Or I feel like a lot of people around don't even know, or they maybe they've seen the plaque on top of Lover's Leap, but they don't know how crazy of a thing this was in this town, 30 minutes away. And now so much time has gone by that you just you kind of lose people more and more. So I don't know. I know the Hannibal Lost Boys guys are, I assume, still working on it, but there hasn't been a lot of new information lately.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, but you said it for sure. Yeah, the guys that do the Lost Boys of Hannibal podcast and John Wingate, to say there is no love lost between those two folks is an understatement. The Hannibal Courier Post, our newspaper, they did an article with the guys who do the podcast, and they said some things about John Wingate, and he called the Courier Post, said, "Hey guys, you need to back off on this. You need to run another story," and they did. On this. So yeah, and I interviewed the guys that did, not on the podcast but on the radio, that do the podcast, and I kind of ran the Gacy thing. Oh no, there's nothing to that. They dismissed it out of hand. As far as that was concerned. Yeah, they're but yeah, it's quite a chapter.
And
and there's still no resolution to it.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yes, and as more time goes on, it just gets colder
later.
and colder.
Yeah. That's Frankie and Chris that do the podcast. I believe Chris is from Hannibal or Louisiana, from the area, something, and then Frankie's an out-of-towner. But I think it's pretty unfortunate that they decided to not that one decided over the other or anything, but they decided to disagree with each other, because now you have two people that are trying very hard to get to the same place in two different ways or two different directions, and now they're not seeing eye to eye, and so you lose that bridge of information. And I don't know, I just don't know why in a situation like that, why you would,
when your end result is the same, why can't you just okay, use your different toys, but play in the sandbox together. everybody.
Exactly.
Right.
Like,
If you
come on.
disagree with the psychic thing, then let him kind of run that road, and then you guys keep doing your thing. They haven't put out new information since January, I believe, of this year. They had talked about a new season, a new documentary series they were filming and doing all these boots on the ground stuff, and it's
Yep.
I hope nothing legally got in their way. But yeah, I don't know. I'm crazy about it, so I just want more information. And I was like,
Right.
maybe Harold will know.
It gets frustrating
maybe
every
Megan
day.
will know.
Every day
but-
there's no information. It gets
Yeah.
frustrating because you want more information. 'Cause
Yeah.
You want to find these boys.
Yeah.
You gotta know what happened.
But yeah, that was the last major development I heard was this supposedly deathbed conversation that Gacy had with, I think, I don't remember, a family member of some kind, but he basically
Yeah.
admitted to it,
That is
uh,
crazy.
which is just, that makes it all the more
Yeah.
creepy.
And
Unsettling.
John
skin
does
crawl.
John does a good job of kind of mapping out how it really could have been him. His mom
Yeah.
was living in Little Rock or something. So
No,
In-
up in
in
yeah,
Iowa
he
somewhere.
lived in Iowa, and his mom was in
Yeah.
Arkansas.
There's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And so
Yeah.
in his, at that time with the way highways were, he would have drove right through Hannibal. And he was a mama's boy, like he was going to go visit mom. And there's something about, they searched his car one time and there was a receipt for a gas station.
Some sort of receipt, yeah.
Along the way, I don't think it was for Hannibal, but it was like, okay, if he was at that gas station, he would have had to gone through Hannibal. So it's possible. It's freaky.
Just knowing that
Yeah.
he drove through a town that I've
Yeah.
been in makes me sick.
Now, if it had been him, sorry, I don't want to take over this entire
Go.
podcast.
You've been waiting for this. Man.
If
Go for it.
I see, like Van said earlier, everybody is so tired of hearing me say all of this stuff. But if it was,
I have the same information you do.
if it was him, it would have been his first. It would have been very early or his first kills.
Yeah.
He rarely killed more than one at a time. This is three this would have been three. So it it doesn't quite fit his MO, but he did some different things throughout. That's so freaky to say, but it's not. He definitely did it. It's possible. Timing wise, locationally, it's possible.
Upsettingly close.
Yeah, it's too close.
Yeah,
to be honest, it's
too close. Yeah.
I thought that was all over in Chicago. And
Yeah, John Wayne
whatever.
Gacy's supposed to be way over there. He's not. It's supposed to be something you just read about and you watch about. You don't actually have to deal with him. But now he's like slowly coming closer, and I hate it. I want to move on.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I have just a few more questions. I don't want to take up too much time. I've got to get back to that Chiefs game, by the way.
Oh yeah.
But Megan, you are so good at social media and marketing, and just because you were the was it the lead director, head director? I don't know the correct term. For the Hannibal
Convention and Visitors
tourism
Bureau.
board.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I was the assistant director and then director for the Hannibal Convention and Visitors Bureau.
That's what it was. Yes. And the things that you were able to implement in those 2 years, like the new building for the Welcome Center at the front of the town. Were you part of that at all, of getting that moved to the front?
I was the assistant director at the time. That was the previous director, Gil Bryant. Really, it was the logic was completely sound, and it became all the more as we moved along, because when that building, so it's right off of Highway 36. So as you're crossing over from Illinois, it's right there. So we got a special. I always say dispensation like it's from the church, but it was from the Division of Tourism. Like, you can only have one Missouri Welcome Center within 50 miles of each other. And at the time, there was an official Missouri Welcome Center on Highway 61. However, we wrote, well, we want to build this. We want to be an affiliate Welcome Center, but it's another major highway. And so they gave us, they gave us the okay that yes, you can have it, because it makes perfect sense, because we're going,
really
east to west or north to south. And then as the building was being built, the Division of Tourism made the decision to close 3 of their welcome centers. So they closed one in St. Louis, one in Kansas City, and one in Hannibal. And so being an affiliate welcome center was even more important, because then we're still in the in the guide and all that as an official affiliate welcome center. So all of that was set up. It's also, the goal is to really try to, just help development down that corridor, down that Mark Twain Avenue corridor. We'd love to see it be revitalized,
Right.
because that's how people get down to Hannibal.
Yeah.
But then, then when I became director, it had been a hot minute since we had gotten a new website. It had been reskinned a couple of times.
Yeah.
We finished a completely new website, and really
Looks
got
great, by the way.
some more. I really like it. I love the little fingers. It reminds me of Monty Python, but that
it does. No, it really does, though. That's why I like it so much. That's why I like it. Oh gosh, I just made my hair worse. No, that's exactly why I enjoy it. And I know that's why I had to email it, because I was like, this person likes British TV just as much as I do. So I had to get in touch with you.
Yeah, they when the company came up with the different, they have all these fancy names for all of the stuff, but like when I saw that little thing, and I'm like, they don't even know I like British things, but that's so cool. The little pointy finger like that.
It does think it's an American. You show someone of your American friends some British TV show. Like, this is Blackadder. It's the funniest show of all time. Rowan Atkinson is great. And then they watch it and they go, I don't know why that's funny at all. They're just wearing costumes, and then you're like, how do you not think that's the funniest thing you've ever seen? Rowan Atkinson's a genius. Like, isn't that Mr. Bean? I'm like, there's so much more than Mr. Bean. It's not the only British thing.
Get out of your Mr. Bean box. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much
think
more.
Think bigger. I know.
Oh, I'm so glad I emailed you, Megan. I'm so glad I emailed you. Oh my gosh.
Maybe you were introduced to Wallace and Gromit at a very whenever one of those learning special developmental times as young age, because I was introduced accidentally to Monty Python, because growing up we had 2 channels, but when it rained sometimes we'd get PBS, and they would play Monty Python's Flying Circus.
That's awesome.
And so I watched that as a young.
That's
I'm sure
hilarious.
90% of the jokes went right over my head.
Oh yeah.
Just the Ministry of Silly Walks and all the weird, cartoon.
They're so inspired. The older I get, they're more inspired. And the one doing podcasting, they're so inspiring. The things they do, I'm like, wow, they're really just adult men goofing around doing silly walks. That's what they do. They put on goofy outfits and they do silly walks, and I'm like, I want to do silly walks. Why can't I do that? I can do silly walks.
Here we are.
Well, we're sitting down now. I'm not gonna stand up and do silly walks. Wow, this has been so much fun. This has been so much. Yeah, next time we'll do a whole silly walk. We'll get a whole stage going. We'll do like a drag show, but Monty Python style.
If you need an Anglophile on call, I will offer myself as tribute.
Yes,
that would be such a fun
expert Anglophile
on the phone, and it says like Megan, and
that would expert be Anglophile. I'm writing that down. So now you're in it. You said it online. It's recorded now, so now you have to do it.
I did. So I'll also be salty about Val Kilmer anytime you need me to.
Perfect. So I have a few final questions here. These are questions I ask every guest. These questions, you don't have to think very hard about them. They're just top of your head if you can get it like that fast. Just quick 5 questions for both of you. Megan, what's the last book that you've read?
I'm in the middle of one right now.
Oh, what's the book?
It is soul music. My Anglophilianism. I don't. What would that be?
Hey, you're the expert, so you're right.
My love of all things English. Also, will go into my books. I'm reading Soul Music by Sir Terry Pratchett.
Oh, I love Sir Terry Pratchett. Oh my God, Megan, you're my favorite person of all time.
You're my brother from another mother.
I'm reading Discworld right now. I've been going through Discworld for the last, I don't know how long it's been since I started. It's so long, but oh my God, I love Discworld. Yeah. Okay.
Well, there's only 40 of them. I'm rereading them right now.
It's a lot. It's a trudge for sure. Wow. Oh, that's amazing.
Megan has that effect on people, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. Yeah. Yes.
Make friends wherever she goes. Absolutely. Yeah.
Harold, what about you? What have you been reading?
Oh, I do not read nearly as much as I should. Probably Soul Speak is probably the last thing that I read. I'm getting ready to get into. I need to get into reading because I've in my spare time, I've done some things in ministry, but I've never had the education to go along with that, and so I'm found a series of fairly inexpensive classes to take to kind of have the education match the calling, and so there's I'm learning all of this because I never went to college, any of this stuff. So I signed up for this class, and I got an email talking about a reading list, and I'm going, reading list? What? And of course, my wife's been through seminary and college and all of that stuff. She says, yeah, reading list. So I got that. And so I'm going to be starting on stuff about evangelism and that sort of thing. So
Sweet. Oh,
I
nice.
haven't been doing so much, but I'm going to start doing some more.
All right.
Very good.
Very cool. Very good. Let's see. Next question. What's the last thing you've been reading? What did you read last, actually?
I've been reading Priscilla or Elvis and Me by Priscilla Presley. That movie's coming out soon. I'm a big Elvis guy, and that movie's coming out soon. So yeah, I got that, and then Killers of the Flower Moon. Yeah,
that's
so good. It's gonna be a movie too.
That's gonna be a movie
that
too.
movie's gonna be.
You can see my trend.
It better make me very upset. That's all I'm saying. A movie better make me upset.
I think it's gonna make you upset.
Yeah. Let's see. The last thing I read, it's October, so I've been reading like scarier stuff. I don't know. I found this graphic novel called The Ice Cream Man. It's like Stephen King meets an ice cream. I mean, think of Stephen King and then an ice cream man. Nefarious things are going on. It's very creepy. I read a few issues of it today. We'll talk about it on our book show.
Can I insert a Hannibal question?
Go for it.
On the speed round here.
Wait. Okay. You're good.
I believe it's closed. I'm not the Hannibal expert here. You guys are. Did you ever have a chance to go to Train Town in Hannibal?
Thank you for asking that.
Briefly one time. Yeah.
There we go. Megan, what's something that always makes you smile whenever you think about it?
Sorry, I gotta go with the sappy answer, like my kids and my dog.
I love the sappy answer. No, I love it. Because when people go, they say it's gonna be sappy, and then as soon as they say it, they start smiling, and it makes me so happy. That's all I want. Yeah. I want the sappiest answer. Harold, what about you? What makes you smile whenever you think about it?
Oh, friends, family, love, health.
Puppies.
Perfect.
Puppies, absolutely.
Puppies are so good.
Yeah. They would probably come charging in here and come after me. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be terrible.
All that sappy stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. What about the last fear you faced, Megan? Gosh, I keep hitting that. Sorry.
Well, probably switching jobs. Just I've been in tourism for about 20 years now.
Yeah.
And I switched over. I'm still doing marketing, so obviously the skill set is the same, but I've moved over more into healthcare, creative marketing director for a healthcare company, and
Awesome.
it was scary because I mean I knew I was doing the right thing because it was going to allow me a more remote / hybrid schedule, so that kids aren't going to be home for too much longer before they head off to college. So it was the right choice, but. Yeah. It was like, oh, but I know all this Hannibal stuff, and I've done all this Hannibal stuff, and now nobody else knows this Hannibal stuff that I know. Well, you know what? The world's not going to end. Just
right.
That's
what I say to that's what I say to Swifties all the time. Like our sister's a huge Swiftie, and I'll tell her the thing how I don't know any Taylor Swift song except for Teardrops on My Guitar. I remember the video perfectly too, by the way. So that's bonus points, I think. And she gets so mad at me. She's like, "What? She's made so many." I'm like, "I don't know." Isn't it interesting how like that's your entire world and I literally know nothing about it. Like, but I have my things that like if I mentioned anything British, like she would have no idea. She probably doesn't even know British people have their own baking show. Like she doesn't even know it. And I'm like, the new season just dropped, and like that's all I think about is like the new season.
But they only release every Friday.
I know.
Every Friday.
My gosh, Megan, I might have to call you after this call is done. I might have to call you back. We'll have to talk forever and become best friends. Wow, you just like get me. I feel like this is nuts. Harold, what's the last fear that you've faced?
Well, I would come under that same category. After doing one thing, being one career for 50 years, you just, it was scary in a way. Once I got into it, it became a little bit scary, but it was right. It was time, but in the job, some things evolved from what I first signed on for, and things started to get a little, things started to pile on. There
Mm.
was things started to get a little overwhelming with some things, and me and God had a lot of conversations about it. And I've told people, you gotta just, God's out is there to say, I got this. You don't have to worry about it. Give it to me and I'll worry about it. And then I tell him, oh yeah, I'm going to do that, on any given day. And then I spend the rest of the day trying to wrestle it back from him. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep showing up. And now I'll knock on wood. I'm starting to get on the backside of some of these things that had just piled on. And so it's getting better.
That's
So yeah,
awesome.
that was a fear of man, what did I do? What was I thinking of when I made this change? Yeah, it's getting better. Well, just keep showing
Great.
up one day at a
Yep.
time. Let go and let God.
Yep. That's right. Just keep on moving forward. That's what I always say. No matter what
Yep.
you're going, if you don't know where you're going, or if you're in a spot that isn't the best for you, just keep moving forward. Eventually, you'll make it. You'll make it somewhere that's different. It may not.
Yep.
I mean, it's not always where you might want to be, but if you just keep going, it gets better. It gets better. You just gotta keep getting that. You just keep walking until you're out of it.
Yep.
Not easy, but yeah, that's great.
Not at all.
Let's see. What's something that reminds you of home, Megan? Do you like keep anything at your like desk or like on your person that like whenever you see it or feel it, or smell something that just reminds you of home as soon as you sense it?
Well, I feel like for me it's a little bit different because I'm so close to where I grew up. I grew up in Frankfurt, so
Hey, there you go.
the few, the proud.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like all 200 of us. I didn't even live in town; I lived on a farm. But I remember when I was getting my graduate degree in St. Louis, and I would roll the windows down, be headed home, and the smell of cornfields, and I'd be
Oh
like, "Oh,
yeah,
I'm getting close," because
yeah.
I was living in St.
And then
Louis at the
you start
time.
getting excited. Yeah, that's the best.
Yeah. And
Oh
then
man, that's so great.
I never even thought like, oh yeah, corn does have a smell, and I'm
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So
I got worried.
little things like that.
I was worried you were gonna say something like you smelled like wet straw or something, because I hate that smell. And I was like, if she says wet straw, this whole relationship's gonna be done. Like that's my Val Kilmer for sure is wet straw. Like I remember when I was at Mizzou, they laid down a bunch of straw next to the sidewalk to grow grass, and one day it rained, and every day for like 2 weeks walking to class. Oh man, I was like, I might not even go to class the next month or the whole semester. I can't walk by this straw, so I had to go, take a 2-minute detour. It was the worst. Harold, what about you? What's something that reminds you of home?
Well, I'm kind of like Megan, with the exception of the year that I spent in Branson. I've never lived more than 100 miles from where I was born. But you talk about that, the smells and that sort of thing. I guess the year that I was away in the Branson area, and you talk about corn, of course, you get down into the Ozarks and they don't have row crops down there. It's all pasture land. So as soon as I'm coming home and I start to see corn and soybeans and wheat and all of that, I'm going, yeah, I'm getting closer. I'm back home
Yeah,
again. Yeah.
honestly, that's how it is.
Yeah.
Whenever we leave, when we were up in Ohio, as soon as you start seeing those cornfields, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
here we go, we're back,
Yeah.
we're getting close.
Yeah,
Getting
plus
close.
the fact, when it starts to flatten out, because
Oh,
I
of
I
course.
actually live in Illinois, and where things I'm right on the edge of the prairie, and of course you get into the Ozarks and there's nothing straight and nothing flat anywhere,
No,
not
yeah,
at all. So when things start to flatten out, I'm going, yeah, I'm home now.
that's right. There we go. Okay, the last question I've got for you guys: crosswords or word searches?
Hmm. I like both. I My mom does crosswords, and I think she gets them out of the newspaper, and they are the weirdest.
Yeah,
Like, just it has to be the right kind of crossword. Like,
yeah.
the like, not necessarily. Yeah, I don't know. I think probably if I just want to relax, I'll just do a word search.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
crosswords definitely for
your
me.
crosswords. There
Crosswords.
we go. What
Yeah,
about you?
but the only two reasons I actually subscribe to a hard copy of a newspaper anymore are the comics and the crossword puzzle.
Like, yeah, I always go for the funnies, man. I always go for the funny
Yep.
pages. I feel like the funny
Oh yeah,
pages used to be funnier though. I feel like the last few times I looked at a newspaper funny pages, I was kind of like, it's that a joke? Is that a joke?
Is that funny?
Look, when I was a little bit, maybe when I was younger, maybe I just thought I thought everything was funny. Maybe when I was younger.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. What about you? I feel like I probably already know.
Yeah, I think like 55 episodes ago I said crosswords.
Yeah, probably.
But we had a lot of people insert Sudoku, right?
A lot of
said
people
Sudoku,
would,
which
yeah,
I'm
they just put in
definitely not
Sudoku, and
into.
I said I didn't put that in there,
No,
but
I'd say crossword.
I do like Sudoku, but yeah, I'm a word search guy for sure.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's probably why I like British TV. It's probably why you like British TV, because we're word
Yeah.
search people. Something about
Good.
that psychologically, maybe, I don't know. I'll listen
You
to that
have
podcast.
found the missing link.
Yeah, that would be so weird if that was the missing link. That would be the strangest thing ever.
Somebody call Ancestry.com here real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. I put it in a new category for him. There you go. You're a word search person. 67.3% word search person. Yeah, that's why you like British people. Wow, this has been so much fun. You guys have, God, you guys are so great. Megan, I can't believe we bonded so well. That was such a surprise.
Yeah.
Harold, you're great. I can't see you still, but it doesn't matter. I'm sure you're the most handsome man I've ever seen. That's what I'm assuming.
Absolutely.
I know it's true. I know it's true. I can hear from the voice. From the voice, I can hear it. I know it's true.
Uh,
Do you guys have any final words or any anything you want to promote or anything like that that's going on in your own lives?
We will get back to our podcast because
Yeah.
I mean, we love Hannibal. We love talking about all the weird stuff. I mean, obviously, I come down harder on the history side. Harold interviewed everybody and their dog for a billion years, so he knows everyone who knows everything about Hannibal.
That's cool.
And so yeah, we hopefully our lives will settle down and we'll be able to actually do the podcast because
Yeah,
he's
and
got the knowledge. I just show up.
and the good
I
thing
really
is, and you've learned that from our conversation today. Megan's one of those people we can not get together for 6 months, and we'll sit back down again, and we'll start the conversation with and another thing. We'll just pick up where we left off.
That's the best kind of, especially if you're doing like a show together, a
Mhm.
podcast or radio show. That's the best kind of relationship you can have. Someone that you can just constantly
We sit
talk
down
and
and say,
banter.
okay, what are we going to do this time? Oh, let's do this. Okay.
Yeah, okay,
Turn it on,
sounds
go.
sweet. Let's do it. Yeah, then you just start going. You just start rolling.
Yeah.
That's great. That is great. Do you have anything you want to?
I just want to say I appreciate you guys coming on.
Honestly, yeah.
I wish we could do this for like 4 hours because I don't.
Yeah.
I love Hannibal. I just feel like there's a lot that I don't know in great detail. So I wish we could do this more.
Hey,
so maybe
I got a good resource for you to learn about Hannibal. Rivertown Review Podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff, man. A lot of good stuff on there. And you know what?
Yeah.
The hosts are hilarious.
They're
Hilarious,
great,
dude.
huh? Okay.
No, honestly, I do really love the show. I can't wait to. I'm gonna definitely go because I'm one of those people that if I start a podcast, I got to go through the entire thing. So I'll let you know when I'm done, and I'll have some things to say. I'll have some reviews of my own probably.
61 episodes. Yep.
There we go.
Mhm.
Wow.
I was
Well,
gonna say,
everyone,
the earlier ones are probably a little may have been a little rough. So I'm glad you
Little
started,
loose-
you
little
know,
loosey-goosey, yeah.
with polished.
Yeah,
Oh,
you should
yeah.
you should listen to art.
oh, we're always. Oh my god. Oh my gosh,
I
man.
think we're getting out of that stage. But
There are
we
a
were
couple-
pretty rough there.
Sometimes I sit in the next day. I go in the editing room and I just look at the screen. I go, oh my god, how am I gonna patch this up? And it's always me. It's never anything you say. It's always something I've said. I'm like,
Oh, good.
what was I doing?
Yeah.
Jeez, I'm gonna get in
That'll
so
be-
much trouble.
The good news is if in the editing room tomorrow, if there is a problem, it's going to be on our end, not
yeah.
you two guys. That's the best thing. I mean, that's the best thing for my guests.
Yeah.
You guys were awesome.
Wow. Okay, this has been so much fun. I'm sure we'll get back in touch at a later time. But oh wow, Megan, Rapp Harold Smith of the Rivertown Review Podcast. You're great. You're wonderful. Don't change anything about your lives. And I'm gonna keep fighting against Val Kilmer for you now, Megan. I'm gonna find that episode. I'm gonna listen to it. I'm gonna start spreading the truth out there, everybody. Let them know.
Yeah.
Let them know.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay, we're gonna get out of here.
Hannibal.
Oh yeah, that's right. I mean, it just wasn't feeling it. Just wasn't feeling it, I guess.
On
All
that
right.
note,
All right. Before I get Megan too upset now, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Megan and Harold, thank you so much again for joining us. This has been so much fun. I can't believe it.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys so much.
Nobody's ever invited us to be on a podcast other than our own before.
That's insane. Well, you
Never
guys
have.
have a free ticket. Anytime you guys want to come back on, let me know. Send me an email. Don't talk to him. Leave
Yeah.
me an email, and I'll get back to you.
I don't know
on
who
that.
said it earlier, but He's the one that does everything, and then I just show up the day we do it, and then that's my role. In
That's
all this.
me.
Yeah,
That's
okay,
me.
there we go. Okay, so
Harold does
connection.
everything.
Okay.
What the heck is going on here? Why am I in this tiny box? Me and you should be in the room together, Megan. Why am I in this tiny box with him? Okay.
I better not get kicked off this podcast.
We will be happy to come back. I speak for myself and Harold. I'm sure any Hannibal questions or just you want to feel like sharing and spreading the Hannibal love at some point, I'm sure we would be happy to do so. Or just like top 10 weird facts that we know about Hannibal that.
Yeah. Oh, if we would have had more time, I didn't want to spend too much time. Waste everyone's Sunday, but like Trey said, we could have done this for hours longer. I have so many questions about Hannibal because you guys are the experts, like I said. But until next time, we will see you guys all later. Thank you so much for coming again. Have a good rest of your Sunday.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Thank you
so much.
God bless.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, that was so much fun. I hope everyone enjoyed that episode, that path that we just walked down with Harold Smith and Megan Rapp, saying their second names for promotional reasons only. I feel like nowadays they're Megan and Harold, or Harry, or however you want it. Harold, your call, man. I don't know. I'm still kind of like I feel like I'm still nervous from it. Hope it didn't come out too nerve-wracking for people, but you know. It was a great time. I had a great time.
I just want to say, I just want to ask, am I still the host?
Where'd you come from? Whoa.
I'm also here.
Whoa. Okay. You just show up like halfway through the movie? You one of those people that does that? You show up right at the very end?
Yep.
Act like you were here from the beginning? Okay. Anyway.
Am I still the co-host, or am I getting replaced? Is it still in discussions?
All I know is you need to really start getting into BBC. Like, download BritBox.
Yes.
This is a sponsorship for BritBox. This whole episode has been that. Download BritBox. Start catching up on all of your Doctor Who, on your Sherlock, your Downton Abbey, your Wallace and Gromit. You just start watching Wallace and Gromit. They just dropped it all on Netflix, I think. Do that. It's great.
Yeah.
Or find it. I don't even know if it's that. I could be wrong. Just look it up on Google or Bing.
I just want to say on that episode,
Sorry, that was
I
a
expected
weird
it to
tangent.
be a lot more information and informative, but it was just like a delightful conversation. Like, we got information, and it was really fun and delightful. So I'm really glad they came on. That was a really fun episode.
You see, if you would have showed up at the beginning of the episode, you would have known that I had called it edutainment. Is what that was, because it was so much fun, a fun conversation, and you walk away knowing more. That's what we strive for on the Mellow Brick Road. And we thank Harold and Megan for being a part of it. If you want to get in touch with them or follow them online on Facebook, I know that we got Harold Smith and Megan Rapp. They're both on there. Check them out on Facebook. Go to our description below. It should be there.
And their podcast you can find at
the Hannibal Rivertown Review Podcast. It's available on Apple Podcasts. It's available on Stitcher. I know those two for sure. If you have Apple Podcasts, if you have Stitcher, definitely can find it on there. If you want to follow more of the Mellow Brick Road, you can follow us on Spotify. That's where you're going to find most of the video episodes, as well as most of our audio episodes as well. We went from audio, and then all of a sudden Spotify was like, oh, more than Joe Rogan can have video. So then now we have video on there too. So you can find us video on there. We also have video episodes on YouTube. And if you go to our Patreon account, it's patreon.com/mellowbrickroad. You will find one of our other shows, a book sharing show that Trace and I do, What You're Reading.
What You're Reading.
Where we basically read a bunch of books each month and we talk about them at the end of the month. It's pretty fun, and every month I try to read a banned book.
We don't make a determination. We just tell you what we think versus other books that maybe aren't banned. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, we should probably get out of here. This was I honestly wasn't expecting the interview. Is it an interview? Do we still call it an interview? It seemed so much fun. We were just hanging out with some buds.
Yeah.
Kind of what it felt like. I honestly wasn't expecting it to go
over
an hour for sure. That was amazing. So much fun. Yeah. Harold and Megan, you're more than welcome to come back on the show. It's so much fun because I love talking about Hannibal. It's so much fun. There's so much to do, so much to see, so much to smell and taste and touch. All of it. And also, don't forget that there's other famous people from Hannibal besides Mark Twain, just like what Harold said. Jake Beckley, look him up.
Molly Brown, you
and
nerds.
And you know what? And also, don't forget, you can follow. I almost forgot. You can follow us on Mellow Brick Road Podcast on Instagram and on Facebook, Mellow Brick Road Podcast. Because here's one thing. I'll do a little hot take right at the end here, just for all of the Rivertown Review Podcast fans that are listening right now. It seemed like when I was looking up some of the names that Harold was saying, it seems like Hannibal's famous people are from like pre-1900. So if you wanna challenge that, you go to Mellow Brick Road Podcast on Instagram, Mellow Brick Road on Facebook, and me personally, Van Windsor on Instagram. Come at me if you want to come at me. T-Dub Projects on Facebook. Feel free to take any anger at me, throw it at him too.
Yeah,
T-Dub
come
Projects. And
follow
there,
and check out T-Dub Projects, but
and while you're there, buy
hate
some
to me.
beautifully designed planks of wood that you can come and beat me with. You gotta buy them from T-Dub Projects.
Yeah, and to toot my own horn, I got something big in the works. You're gonna want to be a part of this. It may be a raffle giveaway situation.
Ooh, a raffle.
Something's a-coming, so you better come around.
I want to sign up for it.
Oh, you gotta pay for it.
Oh, if I win, it'd be bad. That'd
Nobody
look bad.
else does, just you.
Just me? All right.
Yeah, so then it doesn't look as bad.
That's true. Okay. Well, everyone, this has been so much fun. We got to get out of here because this is way too long now. We're dragging it on now. We're having too much fun. We don't want to leave. The episode was so much fun. I wish I could just like stay inside this episode. Like I'm gonna try and like trap some of my soul inside the recording itself, just so like a little bit of me is always in this beautiful moment that we shared with the Hannibal Rivertown Review Podcast. And the Chiefs won that day too. Little bonus.
We did win.
Little icing on
I just
the
realized we
cherry
did
on
a
the cake.
podcast crossover. We did like a crossover event. That just occurred to me.
What do you mean?
We're superheroes, man. We did
like Avenger. It was like an Avengers thing.
It was like we teamed up. We teamed up against the evil. I don't know who our enemy is, but us heroes teamed up and just hung out.
The unbearable weight of silence.
Yeah, there you go.
As podcasters and radio people, that's our biggest foe. Just the unbearable weight of the silence around us. Is that just me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll get out of here. This is getting okay. Now I do want to leave the episode.
We're even longer now.
Yeah, I know. We can go on and on and on. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Please follow Megan and Harold. Follow the Rivertown Review Podcast. We need more Hannibals. Hannibal information. Hannibalians unite.
Yes.
And also Mellow Manifestations. Mellow Manifestations, everybody.
Peace and blessings.